do the thing. It's just a reminder that like we got into this to do stuff we care about. We got into this to have some kind of influence on the world. And if we're finding ourselves in a place where we're stuck in endless revisions and we feel like a tripod and we're doubting that our work matters, to remember that we own our own outcomes. And so we just kind of had to draw a line in the sand and say, this is it. This is going to be the inflection point. We're going to make that move. And it's hella scary. That's the exciting part. You know, we are able to go out, make our own films, and focus a lot more. Like really live in creative on like small things for a while. I think I followed a journey like a lot of people listening to this, and that, you know, you find some way into the filmmaking industry. Not most of us have a formal education. Like not most of us do film school. It's from some other thing. Mine was psychology and weddings and that kind of thing. And then you kind of get into it and there's the kind of work you want to do, which I thought was commercial, you know, like big brands and Four Seasons and Fujifilm. And like, I thought that would scratch the itch kind of thing. And after years of doing that, you know, very much realized, and it was always gnawing at the back of me, but it was like, you need to be telling your own stories. And Grant, one of our senior creative directors, he's been advocating for this, you know, for a decade of like, get out there and like, let's make our own stuff. But it was that turn away from commercial work and saying, we are going to focus entirely on original content. Now, very fortuitously, we had raised over $1 million to make our last movie on crypto. And that gave us runway, right? So it's not like we just showed up Monday and said, we're never gonna, like, what we had was enough runway, and it started becoming a distraction. Like, how do we also do this? Like, how do we do commercial work and also go over here and focus on this big film? And so we just kind of had to draw a line in the sand and say, this is it. This is going to be the inflection point. We're going to make that move. And it's hella scary because it's like, there's a repeatability and a comfort to commercial work, even though we can complain about it a lot, right? Like it's nice having a client every month, every couple of months, the recurring payments, that kind of thing. So that's been our transition. We've got a new film we're taking on this year. We're in the process of selling the last one, trying to figure out this brave new world.
I was going to ask, like, is there a healthy rhythm in the world of, you know, corporate commercial? It's like, man, if we had retainer clients, you know, then we wouldn't have to think so hard about what our next client is going to be. If you don't have retainer clients, then it's like, okay, it's feast or famine. You're doing the project. And then when you find some time to do some marketing or some reaching out or taking people out to lunch and just trying to build your network and expand in this new venture, this new approach to how you're doing this, which I just feel like almost every single person listening to this is like, well, yeah, that's the dream, is to do whatever films inspire us, which may or may not be corporate and commercial and weddings, whatever, but probably not. There's things that I just care so deeply about. So what are you discovering that might be like, yeah, like we're seeing like we might have to, this might be the rhythm for doing this?
Well, I think one thing is we're looking to take on featured documentaries that have a budget that allow our studio to operate for at least 12 months. So like from a management standpoint, general operational costs, that kind of thing. Yeah. So we're not looking to do a film at $200,000. We're, you know, being a team of 6-7 people, like we need to make sure that we can actually kind of get by. So we're approaching with that mindset, which already rules out 80% of the, opportunities for us, because documentaries are selling for $300,000-$400,000 these days. Yeah. So if you'd like to be profitable, you got to make it for less. Now a smaller studio might be able to do that, but we are thinking about our costs and runway and going, okay, so this has got to get us by, for this long. And then I think in the same way you think about retainer clients and that sort of thing, how do we create passive revenue, but in ways in which we control the content and we control the ideas, and ideally that we believe have a little bit more impact. So, we believe a lot in education and building up our education side. We're launching a YouTube channel. We're doing weekly episodes. Like we're going all in. But again, like as we do it, it's like, this is ours. Like we own these ideas. We get to creative direct. There's no stakeholder telling us that this thing's got to change because, Sally in reception didn't like it. So that kind of thing is what's exciting. So we are trying to build up passive revenue through work we really care about, and then kind of looking for that one large project a year, which to, somebody listening could be a couple, but, a couple, smaller, medium-sized projects as well. But that model, right, of kind of going, hold on, instead of doing, I don't know, how many video projects y'all do in a year?
I don't even know. dozens and dozens.
50, 100.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But they're thinking of, okay, if we're doing 50 times whatever that price is, what if we did one for the total amount? Right. And now start going, okay, so we don't have 49 other clients. We have one,
right,
or none.
Right.
Right. We don't have 49 other deliverables. We have one.
Yeah.
Like, so the efficiency you then get also comes way down. And so that's the exciting part. You know, we are able to go out, make our own films, and focus a lot more, like really live in creative on like small things for a while, which I keep getting reminded of whenever I see something. You watch the Oscars, you watch an award show, you watch, you know, Netflix, and you see something you like. The best work, those directors, those creatives, they don't do this while juggling 50 and other things.
Right.
Steven Spielberg made The Fabelmans with his co-writer over like 6 months of daily Zoom calls. You know what I mean? You're like, when's the last time we spent that long writing, like just developing an idea, you know? So it's giving yourself the space to like try and live at that level, or at least reach that level.
Are there any techniques or strategies for people to test out ideas that they might have, that they might think that this is $1 million idea, and if I could just get the funding, or if I could figure out, you know, how to do this on my own, this would work? It's a kind of a risky line of thinking without doing any type of homework. But what kind of thing or things might people consider to test their idea and see if it is something that might work?
One is just to look at the landscape and see if you can find like a comp set, comparisons, right? Like the moment I tell you that our movie is the Tiger King of crypto, you get it. Right. Like you get what we're talking about. Now I'm not overselling on that because you've seen it.
Yes.
Like Richard
Very
Hart
accurate.
is the tiger. Like he is that out there.
Yeah.
But you're looking at what are the other, you know, comparable things of what I'm looking to do that suggests that there's, you know, demand. And then how did they do? Did people watch them? That sort of thing. The other part then is looking at what kind of community or following or fan base, because they're going to be not only your potential financial backers, but then also your best audience and super fans.
Right.
So if you're, you know, many years ago, you know, that's how Indie Game Movie was made, the documentary that, you know, did very well in awards and Kickstarter and everything else. But it was just by going to the community that was behind that, right? So like whoever had that idea in doing the analysis and going, there's a very active community, they're then going to support it. So I think it's checking out that. And then the last part is, who's interested in this story from a very large, you know, like we have people watch the crypto movie and go, this is primarily North American, you know, based on the values of amassing wealth and like that kind of thing. It's like, oh, I hadn't even thought about that. That like, of course, you know what I mean? There are going to be other places in the world like that will not identify at all with how this character talks about becoming rich beyond your wildest dreams and like that like there's certain demos and places in the world where like they get that. Other places are like, I'm lost. Like, I don't want to watch this anymore. So what is that market? Because if you're doing a story on a local football coach, you could make the argument that that's a local story. That like, you know, maybe Michigan or Detroit or, you know, that kind of thing. But if you can make a series on the top coaches across the country, well, you know, now that could definitely run nationally. Like, so it's how you think about it and how you're making it. Can you make it in a way that it's going to go beyond the subject matter? That it's going to be more than just the story of that high school or that college coach that's local. What is the bigger thing that's going to draw somebody in California who either doesn't watch football or, you know, isn't from this area? If you can answer those questions, that's when you start having something, right? The larger the community and the larger the audience, the more opportunity you have to whether you get fundraising, but also even just to sell it. Because that's what it comes down to for distributors. It's eyeballs.
Yeah.
Like it's not, oh, I really like your story and it's very profound. Like the world needs your story or this is great. Like it's eyeballs, right? Like how many people are going to watch this because they're selling subscriptions. Yeah. So it's running time and, you know, amount of views. So if you can make compelling content that can kind of transcend the subject matter or the location, that kind of thing, then you've got a much better shot at the idea being viable on a large level.
Yeah, love that. That's super helpful. What did I forget to ask, or what's a nugget you want to leave us with?
Do the thing. It's just a reminder that like we got into this to do stuff we care about. We got into this to have some kind of influence on the world. And if we're finding ourselves in a place where we're stuck in endless revisions and we feel like a tripod and we're doubting that our work matters, to remember that we own our own outcomes. We own our choices. Like it is a choice. And to like work through that to go out there and tell those stories, and know that you don't need to have somebody pay you to do it. You know what I mean? Like, so much of the most powerful work I've ever done that is the most memorable and influential on me, I just picked up a camera and did it. Like, got out there and used my skill set. So it's a reminder that it is a choice. Our life is a choice. Get out there and like do those things and own where you're at, as opposed to sometimes playing victim to our clients, our situation, or whatever, and allowing far too much time to go by before we actually make the things that make us come alive.